Welcome to the Down Dog Athletics Podcast, a competitor's guide to mental health and mastery. My name is Paul Klingon. I've known sports and training my entire life, but it wasn't until I worked on my mind that I finally started achieving what I believed I was capable of. When I combined mindful and spiritual practices to my already competitive demeanor, I gained a new level of clarity in life and traded my career at Amazon to start Down Dog Athletics. In this podcast, I interview top athletes and coaches to uncover the mindsets of top performers. You'll hear from doctors, authors, and experts in the health space as they break down how to take your mental health, physical health, and performance to the next level. And last but not least, you'll hear from me and my experiences and how I'm cultivating growth for myself and my clients, both mentally and physically. Let's go. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Mindful Muscle Podcast, Competitor's Guide to Mental Health and Mastery. My name is Paul Klingon. I am your host, and this is the last Mindful Muscle episode of the year. We made it. We survived 2020. We still got a couple more days, but we've made it this far. We probably can survive anything at this point. This year's been tough. This year has kicked us right where the sun don't shine, but we've gotten up. We've survived. We've been stronger. We're going to enter 2021 with the ability to say, all right, regardless of what life throws at me, I'm a survivor. I'm going to keep pushing on, and we're just going to keep getting better. Iron sharpens iron. And this is really an opportunity to say, like, all right, everything that I've learned this year, I'm going to now pivot or build upon so that 2021 doesn't have the same impact that maybe it did from a 2020 perspective. I want to make sure that we're learning from our lessons, failing or falling forward, so that it's totally fine to fail. It's totally fine to run into a rut, get stuck. But then what you don't want to do is sit in it, wallow, have that stagnation. Always be looking for opportunities to grow. That's what the body, that's what the soul, that's what the mind, that's what we are built to do. I forget the Tony Robbins quote, but basically we are designed to seek growth. Any living thing on the planet is always trying to grow. And so that's what this podcast is about. This podcast is about a structured way to set targets, to set goals, and create 90-day outcomes so that you are super clear, super focused in a holistic way for where you want to be at the end of March. So we're going to break down 90-day outcomes. We're going to break down the 4 pillars that I teach with 90-day outcomes that I apply with my Mindful Muscle clients that I mentor in a one-on-one capacity. And this is really where this is the secret ingredient. This is the secret sauce. This is the stuff behind everything that we do from a training standpoint, from a nutrition standpoint, mobility, performance, right? When all of this is working in the background, everything gets so much easier. So I'm going to break it down. I'm going to go into the 4 pillars, which are body, mindset, team, and passion. And real quick, before I go any further, if you are around a journal, piece of paper, have a pen on your laptop, now would be a great time to pause, go get those things out so that you can write all this down and be following along so that this can inform what you might do later on or even create your goals right now as you're listening. So let's dive into the first one, which is the first one that I always think about because it's the easiest one to comprehend. It is the thing we go to the gym for, the body, right? We're going to train, we're going to work out, we're going to exercise, whatever you want to call it, because we have physical body goals that we want to realize. And the first thing I'll say, and preface this with all goals, is I like to make sure that they're process-oriented. There's only so much you can do to control the outcome of goals. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely science and structure and strategies to apply to reach the goals, but you don't want to get so obsessed with the specific number that you forget the process that you fall in love with and the journey along the way, that as long as that's in place and the strategies sound and the effort sound, you're going to get to wherever it is that you're trying to get. You might get there sooner. It might take longer than the 90 days, but making all these process-oriented is definitely important. That said, I'm going to dive into the three triangle pillars within this body one, and it's going to be longevity, aesthetic, and performance. So if you're making goals that you have for what you want your body to achieve, you can look at longevity. So you could say, all right, in 90 days, I want to have a new range for my shoulder so I have better shoulder health so that I don't get injured when I'm doing bench press, so that I don't get injured doing pull-ups, so that I can do normal things around the house. And my goal of working on my mobility, doing specific mobility drills once a day for 10 minutes each day, when I do that, if I do that, I'm going to recognize bigger goals along the way. And so that's a longevity focused goal. Anything that would allow you to be able to sustain what you're doing until you're 50 years old is definitely a longevity goal. I always say the goal is to be able to do what you're doing now for the next 30 years or 40 years or however old you are. And so backing it out and taking the principle of, all right, I want to train like I'm 50 or 60, not because you're going to train like a 50 or 60-year-old would in your head, but because what you're doing now is going to allow you to continue to do that for another 30 or 40 years. Then we move things over to an aesthetic standpoint, and 9 times out of 10, the way that we're going to get there is through nutrition. The common thread with all of this is going to be training. Don't get me wrong. Like, you got to go to the gym. You got to make sure that you have a structured training plan that's built towards hypertrophy, strength, performance, running, marathons, whatever it is that you're doing. But if your goal is aesthetic, you want to lose 10 pounds. You want to make sure that you have visible abs. You want to have a bigger bicep, a bigger chest. The body can't build or the body can't reveal and have a body composition unless it is getting what it needs to from a nutritional standpoint. So a simple process-oriented, this one is, I'm going to track my nutrition for 90 days. I'm going to hit my protein target for 80 out of the 90 days. It doesn't always have to be 90 days, but give yourself something where it's saying, all right, if this is true, the result that I want is very likely to happen. Then we look at things from a performance standpoint. It could be the simple act of, like, my goal is to perform in a race. Obviously, with COVID, there's not a lot of races going on, but it could be something as simple as, all right, I can do 10 push-ups right now. My goal in 30 days, or my goal in 90 days is to be able to do 50. And it's very numerical. It's something that you can measure. It's something that is binary to be able to say, yes, I did, no, I didn't. And then that way you're able to create milestones with all of this. So with everything that I do, I have a whiteboard where I write out what my body, mindset, team goals are going to be, and then it's very visible to me. Studies have shown that you're 70% more likely to achieve a goal if you write it out. One of the things that I try and do and is share with everyone what it is that I'm working towards. And it's not to say that I'm not doing things for myself, but if I have this thought in my head where, oh man, I just shared that I'm going to run a marathon in under 3 hours with all of my followers and fans, as if you guys really care what I'm doing. Some of you might, and I appreciate that, but at the end of the day, like, you're going about your life, you want to improve the things that you're worried about. But I'm able to leverage all of you guys in my head to be like, oh man, follower number 2,122 is going to be let down if I don't run my marathon. And from a psychological standpoint, we all do things for other people we wouldn't do for ourselves. If you have a dog or if you have a pet, right, you get up and do things for that animal that you would never do for yourself, like waking up and going for a walk at 5 a.m. when it's raining. You do that for your dog. You would never do that for yourself. And so you can leverage other people and say, all right, I'm going to write this down. I'm going to announce it. I'm going to share it with someone so that when I am, like, not wanting to do it, I'm also like, oh, I also don't want to let these people down. I don't want to look like a fool. And again, you're not doing it for other people. You're always doing it for yourself, but you can definitely leverage the collective of wanting to show off as well. And when you do complete that goal and you told everyone you're going to do it, now you feel like twice the badass because you're Babe Ruth that just called the home run that you were going to hit. So that's body. And just another way to frame that is just, what are goals that you would have from a training nutrition standpoint that would help you achieve whatever longevity, longevity, aesthetic, or performance goal that you have. Next, we're going to move into mindset. And I like to break this one out into 2 separate pieces. 1, mental expansion. 2, mental exploration. So the goal is always to rewire the loops that you have in your head or firm up loops that are good in your head. So if you have good movement patterns, right, you want to reinforce those. If you have bad movement patterns and you have poor squat form, bad golf swing, you want to make sure that you improve that. So from a mental expansion, you're looking at books, you're looking at courses, you're looking at YouTube videos even, you're looking at coaching and education to help rewire your brain through neuroplasticity to help be able to think differently, to learn more, to adopt new ideas that's going to expand and grow, who you are as a human. So this could be something as simple as, all right, my goal is to read 3 books in the next 90 days. That's a book a month. It could be something as simple as learning a new language, right? Rewiring your mind to think differently and expanding your mindset. I like to think of mindset as a toolkit, right? So Same way you have a toolkit, you have different tools for different things. You want to be able to have a mindset to where you're saying, all right, if I run into this, and this, I can apply this mindset that I've picked up from this podcast, from this book. I was going over this with some high school athletes the other day, played baseball. I was like, go read books about Hall of Famers so that you can understand and start to adopt how they think, how they approach practice, how they approach tee work, how they approach all the different things and aspects to their game, so that now when you go to practice, when you go to hit off a tee, when you go to do what seems monotonous, you're starting to think like some of the greats. The other way I look at this is mental exploration. And this is really where that mindfulness piece really digs in. And the way I like to look at this is like you already have so much going on in your head, in your subconscious. Taking some time to explore that and be able to identify the root of thoughts that might cause you to hold back, cause you to be fearful, cause you to play things small. And so there are a number of meditation techniques, journaling techniques, even within breath work, and you can go into plant medicine and working with a professional for this as well. But the goal is to explore your mind to be able to understand yourself better and have more self-awareness. Because the more self-awareness you have, the more likely you are to notice things that can be improved, create a strategy around that, and then create some action. But until you get slow enough, until you reflect, until you're able to be quiet enough to recognize something that goes on in the subconscious without you noticing, it's just going to run on for years and years and years and years until you're like 40 years down the road and you're like, man, like I never really got rid of this self-limiting belief that I'm only able to lose 5 pounds. Like whatever it is that thought that is preventing you from playing it big. And so within meditation journaling, just to give this a tangible way of applying this, it could be for 90 days I'm going to meditate. That's one of the things that I did at the beginning of my journey in down dog athletics. Was I was working with a life coach, meditated for 90 days. Within those 90 days, I became a personal trainer, got my LLC, got my first client. 4 months later, I quit my job at Amazon and had the most clarity ever. And like that's the goal. And so the goal is clarity. The process-oriented target for those 90-day outcomes might be to journal and do a gratitude journal for 90 days. Whatever you want it to be. It could be a weekly gratitude journal, but it's something to explore the mind, to rewire the mind. And this can be, like I said, mental expansion or mental exploration. From there, we're going to go to team. And if you've done this before, you might recognize this as relationships, as community. Basically, it's your support system. And the people that support you, that fuel you, and making an effort and a goal and having a target to invest in others. I love the saying, the more you give, the more you have. And this podcast coming out right after the holidays, very much a time of giving, usually feels better to give a gift, see someone else light up, see someone else grow, see someone else super happy, than it is to receive a gift. Like that said, like if you've been wanting new golf clubs for 2 years and you finally get them, like you're going to be pretty pumped, but it usually feels better to give than it does to get. And that's not to say that when we're investing in other people, there's not a karmic effect or a butterfly effect to where it supports us. But the way to look at this is your environment is very much indicative of how successful you're going to be as you work towards your mindfulness goals, as you work towards your body goals. And so if you're investing in your friends and sending them texts every single day and saying, hey, Corey, like thinking of you, brother, like hope you're having a great day. Like let's go crush it. If you are writing thank you letters to different people that you work with, right? Your support system, your family, your friends, investing in them, that's going to come back around to you and it's going to support you and give you an environment to where those people are supporting you. The other way I really like to look at this is community, and especially within community, mentoring someone else. You listening to this podcast right now are an inspiration to someone else. Someone else looks up to you and says, man, if I could just do what that person does, I don't know how I would get there, but that would be amazing. And there is a ladder to all of this to where The Rock, like whatever president you love, whatever movie star you love, everyone's got a mentor. And so you can mentor someone, and when you're doing that, it's going to require so much more out of you. So if you're looking to change your fitness habits this year, rather than trying to just go alone, say, hey, I'm going to bring you with me and I'm going to lead you. And by leading someone else, you're asking more out of yourself and giving yourself the capacity to lead them, but it's also forcing you to stay in integrity so that when you're saying, hey, I want you to focus on drinking more water, and then you look and you're not drinking any water, it's like, well, I better step up my game so that, I can be of help and of service to others. And again, you don't have to coach or mentor someone, but just giving to someone else, like I said, the more you give, the more you have. The more you can give, the more capacity you have to grow. So the goal should always be, all right, how can I give and invest in others more? Because that's an indicator of growth in myself. What it really comes down to is your team. And that's why I like calling it your team. No one is self-made. Yes, there are golfers that play individual sports, but they also have the caddy, their swing coach, their trainer, their nutritionists. There's so much of a support system even behind individuals, and by investing in them, they're going to be more invested in you. It's a team effort. We want everyone to rise. When the sea level rises, all boats rise. I'm going to quit hitting you guys with analogies, but create some goal, create some sort of tangible goal to invest in others and see what happens. The last one that I'm going to jump into is passion. And passion, you might have seen as career. When I was coaching the high school guys a couple weeks ago, it was your education. However you want to break it down, I like to break it into passion because you're either passionate about your job or the job that you have allows you to do what you're passionate about. So let's say you have a job and you want to set some targets around there. And that could be as simple as, all right, I want to make a certain amount of sales calls. I want to make a certain amount of meetings that I have with my team. Create some sort of target. And this isn't to say that like when I'm working with people, I'm business coaching them or I'm career coaching them. I'm not. But why is it that we're creating a bunch of energy and clarity and feeling invigorated by life with a bunch of fitness related stuff if we're not going to apply it to the other parts of our life when we're at work for more time than anything else? Allow what we're doing from a fitness standpoint to go and fuel you, give you energy to go and achieve great things in other areas that you're passionate about. So even if it's not job, and this is one that I really like, and it's someone that I'm working with recently had this in the realm of art. You wouldn't know it, but he's really artistic. And so one of his 90-day outcomes is to go and paint a mural on a canvas, like a big ass canvas, and that's a passion project that he wants to make sure that he's creating a goal, a target, and working towards. With everything that we're talking about on this podcast, where your focus goes, your energy flows, right? Your focus determines your reality is another way of looking at it. And so if you put in these 4 categories something written down on a whiteboard, in a journal, on sticky notes, on your mirror in the bathroom, you're going to see that every single day. Your focus is going to be there. The decisions that you make are going to be a little bit more binary in, does this get me to that or does it take me further away from that? At that point, it's easy because you have clarity on what decision you need to be making on a consistent basis. So coming back to the art, the side hustle is another way that I really like to think of this. Having some sort of passion project, something that fuels your soul, is very important, because as important as our jobs are, as important as going to the gym is, as important as mindset is, I truly believe that having something that you're passionate about, something that puts your soul on fire, right, is at the core of everything that we're doing and like who we are as a person. And that's not to say that you're not going to become a gym rat or not absolutely crush your goal and you're not passionate about your job or the people around you. But it's just making sure that you have something that sparks the creative side of your brain, something that sparks a different part of you that you don't normally allow to operate, and making it a priority. So 90-day outcomes, breaking it down into body, mindset, team, and passion. If you've got a journal out and you're taking notes, I encourage you just to take some time and create like a magic wand in your head and just say, all right, 90 days from now, like what would be really cool to achieve? What would be really cool to say is true? I've talked about on podcasts, I believe, about the perfect day. Like what does a perfect day look like? And how do I structure all of these things within them? And just start to live in this realm of like, maybe this is possible. I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. And with everything, you want to make sure it's something that scares you, right? No one listening to this podcast should say like, I want to run a sub 2 hour marathon because only one person on the planet is listening to that. And I'm guessing he's not listening to the podcast. So it shouldn't be something that is like not realistic. Otherwise, you're not going to be bought in because I don't even believe that anyway. It should be on that realm of possibility, right on the edge, right on the cliff of if I go any further, I might fail, I might fall, but that's okay because failing's part of life. But it also needs to get you up and out of your comfort zone to be able to have you saying, wow, like this is causing me to grow and move beyond the stagnation that you might have found yourself in 2020. So that's all I got. 90-day outcomes, breaking it down into body, mindset, team, and passion. If you have any questions on this, if you want to shoot me an email, it's paul@downdogathletics. You can reach out via the website, fill out a discovery form. You can shoot me a message, Paul_Klingen on Instagram, and we can have a conversation around this. And I would love to talk to you about it. This is within the Mindful Muscle coaching program, the one-to-one intensive where we would coach through all this, track through all this, would manage your training and manage your nutrition, manage and keep you accountable for the mindset. We would have these team and passion targets, somewhere visible where we can make sure we're staying on top of them. But every time I've done this with a coach, and I've done it with several coaches, these are always the periods of really accelerated growth. And I want that for you. That's why I quit my job at Amazon, was to go into this health and wellness space, this fitness space, to make people's lives better. So if that resonates, if that feels aligned, just reach out. We can have a conversation. Other than that, thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. We got one more for the end of the year. Joe Rinaldi on Thursday coming out. Don't miss it. I'll catch you guys next time on the Mindful Muscle Podcast.